Okay, so we're here for the group manager demo, and let's go ahead and get started. Let's jump right in. And click on the group manager. Now, when you click on the group manager, you'll see a listing of all the groups that you've currently created. If you've not been in the group manager before, you won't have anything in here. So these are all my Webtools projects that are in the group manager. I have lots of them. So we're going to go ahead and create a new group today. I'm going to delete some of these just because I think those are old. I'm going to confuse the situation. Okay, choose new, and the group manager. There are 4 different types of groups that you can choose. Um, Now, the group manager works with all of our tools, and what it really does a great job of is assigning users to Webtools projects through a group. You can create an email group of recipients, and you can create an Active Directory link to a group. And there are a variety of ways that groups are used, but in order to manage a collection of users, we have a separate tool, and that's the group manager. So we're going to focus on creating an email list of recipients today because these other options, um, I'll hit on them a little bit, but they do some of the same things, but there's some more options in the email list that we have to take advantage of here. Web tool security and privileges really is you can assign members of your team to your web tools projects. So what's really great about that is, as you can imagine, if you do a lot of web tools work with your team, you have, like, let's say 50 web tools projects, someone leaves the team and someone new joins in, you simply add the new person to the group, and now they have immediate access to everything you've done in the past. So if you've worked with web tools and you've assigned individual people to individual projects, and you have a history of that, it becomes difficult to kind of go back and give someone global access to all your stuff. So the privileges and security is going to be helpful for you to help manage people inside of web tools. This is a special opt-out group for email in Email Plus. We have a little video clip that is like 3 minutes, and it shows you how to set up an opt-out process and what the opt-out group is for and how to do it. And essentially, in short, if you don't want somebody to unsubscribe from one of your lists that you've got attached to an email um, via the unsubscribe link, you can create a special group that lets you retain them in your email list. And you'll know what I mean if when you encounter opt out, there's some help, and um, when that becomes interest of yours, this is there to help you. And we do have the ability to sync with Active Directory. So if you want to send to a group of Active Directory users, um, we can tie you directly into one of those databases um, and make a group out of that. Okay, so I'm going to dive right into the email list. And the first thing I'm presented with here is just some general setup prompts. So the name of my group, I can describe it, and that's just so everybody on the team understands what this is. We don't use that any other way. And then I see my options here to change the type of group again. Um, Here we've got some error messages saying I did something where I haven't named yet my group, so I can hit OK and turn that off. Let's go ahead and name the group, and we're just going to do we'll just create demo group 1. Um, and I'm not even going to describe it. We don't have to do that. I'm going to make an email distribution group. So we're going to plan to use this with Email Plus, and this is going to be a list of email recipients. Um, so by default, we will automatically delete this group after 3 months. Now, it's really kind of to help you. I mean, a lot of people accumulate um, a list of groups that have accrued over a long period of time and they don't use them anymore. It's kind of cumbersome to maintain some of that. So we have this kind of auto delete setting that after 3 months by default it goes away. You can go as far as 18 months without any activity, meaning you've not opened it, used it, or done anything with it. 3 months is the default. So you can change that setting here. For email recipients, people are able to subscribe or unsubscribe to emails, and by what they're really doing is subscribing and unsubscribing to this recipient list group. So you can allow them to do that here. By default, we do allow that feature. You can disallow that feature so that this can't be a group that people can remove themselves from or add themselves to via the subscribes features in Email Plus. So I'm going to keep that to yes. And we can share this group with other group members, which means um, basically everyone in Webtools who is a member of this group sees it in their pull-down menus and they can use it in their Webtools also. So it lets everyone use the group. That doesn't mean that they get to edit privileges or add people to it. It just simply means that you can share the ability for them to also use the group in Webtools through pull-down menus and such. So it will appear for them in Email Plus if they want to use it as a recipients list. So by default, that one's no, but it's there for you so you know what it is. Okay, so just demo group one, it's going to save it, and there's not a lot to the group manager, but there are some features in here that are pretty interesting and some interfaces with Email Plus, and we're going to focus on that today. But first, I'm going to go to the Users tab, and we're going to go over some of the basic management of adding users, deleting them, and updating them. So this screen says I don't have anyone in my group yet. It has an Add button. I'm going to click Add, and there are 3 different ways to add people. You can add an individual user, and I click that, and it pulls down, and email address is required. So that's the only thing that I have to enter, but you can see there's options to enter attributes here. So I'll show you attributes in a little bit, and we'll kind of go through what that means. You can add many email addresses at once. Basically, you just paste them in here. You don't even have, it says separated by carriage returns. I don't believe that you even have to do that. Or by commas, you definitely don't have to have commas. If you just paste all of the email addresses in here and click add users, our software will understand the separation between the emails, and you'll be able to add as many as you would want to. There's not a limit. So that's one way you can add people as well. Otherwise, you can upload a spreadsheet, and you know, so you may have email addresses in a spreadsheet. Um, you may not. If you don't, you can always just add them here. Um, if you want to manage things through a spreadsheet, you can have email addresses only stored there. There is so all you do really is you open Excel and you save it as a CSV file with the email addresses in there. I have a little learn more button. If you click that, there are some requirements that we have for the spreadsheet. So row 1, you're going to need to label these columns email address with A as the capital with a capital A. Let's go ahead and create one. But this learn more link will kind of go through what I'm about to show you. So let me go ahead and open a spreadsheet with just emails only. Okay. Okay. So this is what a spreadsheet, if I were to upload this, it would work properly because I have email address as my first column header. It does have to be entered with no space and with a capital A. So email address must be entered this way. And then you just insert email addresses on each line, on each row below that column header. Okay. So if I uploaded that, it will upload 4 email addresses here. And the other options, emails and data, allows me to upload a spreadsheet with more than just email address. So I could have first name, last name, and some custom variables. And we'll do an example here in a minute. And then the third type is Facts email list. Facts maintains, they can generate lists so that you can send to all the current students or alumni, for example. So if you are interested in sending to that database that is maintained through Facts, and they would actually administer uploading it for you, so you wouldn't actually need this tab, but that tab is that's what that is for. So those are the options that we have here. let's go ahead and just add a single user, and I'm going to enter just email address because that's all that's required. And let's add Jim here. I'm just going to click add user. I'm not even going to add the attributes yet. Says the user was added. Okay. So go back to my users tab. Then now I see that Jim has been added. His email address is here. There are blanks for first name and last name. I can delete this. I can edit this. You can see that if if I just entered 1,000 users, for example, I have a search. So I can open that and I can enter part of an email address. Or if I have data about the last name, I can enter the user's last name and do a search and find that. Okay. I can also download all my users that I have in my group as a CSV file. Um, and I can download subscription history. There's also this, if I choose a checkbox, this delete highlights, and I can delete Jim this way, or I could delete multiple users this way. Or you can choose this ellipses here. And if you have emails that are unsubscribes or blocked, bad email addresses that have been in Email Plus called out, you can copy and paste these in here and basically paste a list of emails to delete, right? You can just paste a bulk set of email addresses and delete them. So that feature is there for you too. There are multiple ways to go about deleting to make it convenient. Okay, let's go ahead and add Jim's first name and last name if it's not already in the system. You can add these attributes. I'm going to go ahead and update Jim here. I'm going to go back to the users tab, and I can see now first name and last name are filled out. Okay. Let's go ahead and add some more users to this group. And I'm going to add them through, let's just add multiple email addresses here. Let's add and a couple of people I know here. Let's add Lance and Allison, and I just have a space between them. It shouldn't matter. I could just paste them in there or enter them like this and click add users. So the group users were processed. You'll receive an email with the details. Okay. So if you're adding multiple or uploading a spreadsheet, we'll tell you after it's been processed through an email. But if I go back to my users tab, it's not quite updated yet. I've got one user, and we're still waiting for that process to take place. So sometimes if I go to a tab and come back, it may have processed already, but in this case, still waiting. Okay. So while we're waiting for the group manager to process those entries, I'm going to go ahead and there's a third way to add users through a spreadsheet. So let's go ahead and do emails and data. That's where you can include more than just the email address. So I have email address, first name, last name. Now the important thing, so I have all my email addresses. I have first names matching with last names set up. I need to add my row. Insert a row here. Insert. Okay. And I need to include my header for email address. Okay. So again, it's the formats needed. Email address with a capital A and no space. First name and last name we do keep on file in our system. So in order to store that through a spreadsheet and call that into the user, we have to use first name in the same format as email address did, and last name as our header. Okay, so I'm going to save this as a CSV file. Okay, save and replace my file. Okay, just kind of updated it. And so I'll upload this and it should accept these 4 users with that data. Okay, so let's do that. I'm going to browse, email first, last. Okay, and I'm going to upload. So here we've got that message again. Our users will be added shortly, and we're going to get an email when that process has been completed. Okay, let's go back to the users tab and see if we have some more activity here. So we don't yet, and we're still waiting. I'm going to grab my email through my inbox. Let's see what we've got here. Web Services Demo Group 1 has finished processing. There were no emails address added and one invalid. Okay, so it didn't like how I entered those. So it added my spreadsheet in it, but it did not add my paste in entry. And let's go look at why that is. I think I know why. Okay. Let me go back to the tab from the general again and see if we've got, so okay, we've got an updated list here. This is my spreadsheet work. Let's go back and add users. I believe we do have to have carriage returns here. That must be what it was. I didn't think that was the case, but I think now it is. MG Downs, let's add Megan. And let's just make sure that this is how we need to format them. I'm gonna add these users and it's processing again. So those are 2 new people to my group here. So I have, here we go. I guess Megan was already in there, but let me go ahead and open Allison because I believe my spreadsheet had Allison's first name and last name in it. It did. Okay. And I should have that data. If I edit Allison, it should give me her first name and last name. And here we go, Allison Vance right here. All right. So you see a couple different ways to add someone with some data. All right. Well, we'll go ahead and keep going, and when that email comes back, we'll know exactly whether that worked that way. Let's go ahead, and what I'd like to do is show you that you can use this data like first name and last name in Email Plus. I can also use more data that I store, and I can store um, multiple variables like first name, last name, but they can be all things that I want to store, custom stuff. So I've prepared an email to kind of give you an example of a situation you might create. So basically, here's an example of an email where I have a salutation um, where it defaults to saying hello there. But if I know the person's first name, their first name's going to pop in here. So if it sends to my list and it goes to Allison, Allison's going to get hello, Allison. If there's not a name in my data set, it's going to say hello there. It says, can you please verify that I have the correct information for you on file? And here's where it goes through the data call row. And here's Allison's first name, last name, her email address, and we're storing her job title and a link to her profile. So that spreadsheet will look like this. If we want to use that data, we're going to use our first column, is email address, just like we did in the past with the last spreadsheet. Second column is first name, as with the last one, and last name again, same thing. But now I've got columns D and column E. I've got special stuff here. I just decided to make my own label and store my own data point here. So here I decided to call one of my variables title, and I included the job title as my copy that I'm storing. And in column E, I have a variable called link, and what I'm linking is to everyone's directory profile. So in Email Plus, you can actually, in the link itself, make the variable populate. So in that mail merge example, let me pull that up again. Basically, I'm asking for everyone to verify this is all correct, and clicking on this link should take them to their own profile. Okay, so let's go ahead and add this, upload this spreadsheet, and let's show you how to use these variables. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to the group manager. Let me just back out of here because we already have users and we already have some data. Let's start fresh. I'm gonna create a new group and I'm gonna call this an email list again. And we're gonna just call this demo group. Let's call this mail merge because that's what this is really called when I do this. Email distribution, auto delete 3. Okay, create my group. That looks good. Okay, everything looks good here. Move along to the users tab. Let's add. Let's upload that spreadsheet in my emails and data format. I'm just going to browse and mail merge CSV. I'm going to choose that and I'm going to choose upload. Okay, I've got this message that my members are going to be added. Let's go ahead and see what happened. Okay, still processing. So we'll give it a minute here. Okay, let me go back to the users tab. Looks like they've been added. Let's edit Allison and see if we've got some other data points. And here you can see that Allison now has first name, last name. We now have our link for Allison's profile and her job title in here. So you can see that these attributes have been populated here. Link and title are in there. I can add another one manually if you want. And we can also add more. If we click this button, more fields will appear and we can keep going. You can add as many data points with each person as you want and use them. If they're not there, it just won't populate in the emails. So if I decide, I made a mistake, I can go in and edit Allison and update here if I want to do it that way. So let me look at Megan's as well, just to make sure. So we have the right data. Title, okay. So all that's set up. My group's called Mail Merge. Okay, demo group Mail Merge. I'm gonna go over to Email Plus, and let's just create a new email and start fresh. We'll just make a basic wizard email, and I need to fill some of this out because it won't let me continue if I don't. So I think let's see. Okay. Um, demo test mail merge. Just saving some basic info. You don't have to remember this. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and insert some basic content in my email. And if what I want to do is create that example, um, let's go ahead and grab some of that type so I get it right here. Okay, I'm just going to grab this sentence actually because there's nothing really there. It's special. I'm just going to start typing my message. So can you please verify I have the correct information on file? So what are we storing here? Email address, first name, last name, email address, job title, right? Profile. So you've got all these labels, first name. What we need to do is insert variables so our data populates. If you go to this, we've added this feature, it's the mail merge pull down menu. Basically, these are going to be all of my variables that should populate. So first name, you know what I needed to do? My mistake. I'm going to save what I have so far. I'm going to make sure that I set up the right group because our mail merge needs to pull in our data correctly. So here, I don't want to use this group. This is just a fake group, but I want to actually add my demo mail merge group. When I do that, my message will pull in my content box. The correct variables will show up here. So here I do have first, last, email, link, and title now available for me to use. And so what I do is go to first name, and where I want it to appear, I just choose it. Last name, enter the last name. Email address, job title is the title, and my profile is actually a link. So I'm going to create a link here. I don't believe I can choose it from the menu, but URL is actually link, is that actual variable, link. So I'm just going to type it in there. Okay. And my mail merge, yeah, I just typed it just like that. So I'm going to go ahead and make a bulleted list out of it. Let's go ahead and save and view it. Okay, I've got my variables in here. Now, they won't populate until it sends to someone with the actual data set in there, right? So let's go ahead and I think it works in a test email. I'm going to send a test email to myself. Now, if I did this correctly, since I am in the group, my information should show up. While we wait for that, there is one more thing that we can add called a salutation. And if I choose the salutation tab, I can say, yes, I'd like a salutation. And we warn you that it sends at a slower rate, hit OK. And here are some popular formats, just hello, first name. I choose that, and now I have the salutation here. And here's where it says hello there, right? Salutation default. You can type anything you want. So if we don't have your first name on file, we obviously can't do that, and we don't want to just say, leave a blank space. So you get to choose a default. All right, I'm going to save this. I'm going to go back to my message, and I'm going to insert that salutation. I haven't quite inserted it, so the email doesn't quite know where I want it yet. And let me make sure that's true. We used to do it that way. That's true. Okay. So salutation actually has to be a variable like this. And if you've not used Webtools and you have the help on, which is a good idea if you've not, then going back to the message area and choosing salutation, it will tell you to use the salutation, you must include this variable in the message. So that's what we just did. Okay. I'm going to send a test email again. Okay, let's see what we've got in my email box now. Okay, perfect. So here we did the mail merge. It went successfully. My first name, last name is correct. Here's my email address from that spreadsheet, job title. My job title didn't come in. It says title. And if I click this, it should go to my profile, which it does. Good, that worked correctly. Okay, so let's figure out why the title didn't come in. Is it title? Maybe first place I'm going to look is in the actual spreadsheet. Make sure I have data. Title, and I do, solutions specialist. Second place I'm going to look, let's see. I'll look in the actual group manager and see if what I have on file in the group manager for that data is there. So I'm going to go into my user and I'm going to look at the title. And it looks like it's here correctly, and I have some data. It's lowercase title, so that's all correct. Let's go to the email and see if it inserted the title variable message. TITLE. Looks at the correct. So there's a bug, and I can get to the bottom of that after this demo. So I don't know. Maybe I did something wrong, but I don't think I'm gonna be able to figure it out right away. So we're gonna move along, but the checkpoints on look pretty good. Like it looks like it should say that. Looks like it should be writing. It did write everything else correctly, email address, and it wrote the link. So I'm not really sure why that didn't quite go through, but that's okay. Let's go back to the group manager and let's go back. I think it's the security tab is of the subscription tab. Let's move along to the subscription tab. I'm going to show you some of the features that are available there. So when users are able to subscribe and unsubscribe, that's usually happening in the email that you send, but it doesn't have to. And you can send a link to someone and they can sign up. So even if you want it to be like on your website, for example, you can copy this link and encourage someone to sign up for your newsletter from your website if you want to. And basically, if they enter their email and re-enter it and click submit, they'll now receive your email if they subscribe themselves into it. Likewise, there's this unsubscribe section where you can give them this link and it will unsubscribe someone. So when someone subscribes, there's a form that you can collect some data about people if you want to upfront. Um, so let's take a look at the um, subscription form itself. So right now, I'm not collecting anything other than email address, but I can. Let me click to add some questions. You can see there's introductory and closing content. Let's add some questions. Let's just include all of them for now. Let's include all of them as optional. So here are a bunch of sample questions you can choose to prompt someone with. I can save that. And I believe I can just refresh this page. Yep. And here we go. We've got fields to collect everyone's information here from this tab. I can also preview that here. I can require some of this, make some of it optional. Also, I could allow someone to edit their that basically once they submit that, they can edit that themselves later. So if I look at this link, to edit your profile, enter your email address, and basically we'll send them an email that lets them um, click the link and go into an edit mode for that profile to update it. Introductory content and closing content just allows you to personalize this a little bit. You can save that. I'm going to remove profile. Here we go. So you can add more information above and below. The unsubscribe is similarly, here's a form for unsubscribing. You can from here allow users to unsubscribe. You can look at the history of subscriptions so you can see when someone unsubscribed kind of after the fact. You can download a CSV file that will reveal that activity. But since no one has clearly unsubscribed, it's just me, you won't see anything. And you can add an intro and closing to that, but there are no questions like you would ask after they decide not to. You just kind of get to say some messages here. The next tab is called usage, and basically I get to see what all of my what all of my Webtools projects that utilize this are. And so you can see here we go, we're using it in Email Plus under this ID, and here's the name of that. So if you're going through your groups and it's been a while, you can see if where they've been used, if they haven't been used, or you can kind of manage your own activity a little bit here. The Privileges tab lets you assign accesses to various things here. So we have 3 different types of roles of access. Administrators can do everything you've seen me do today for a group. You basically own the group. You can add people to it, remove them. You can edit the settings for a group, allow people to unsubscribe or not. And so you can give access to groups or individuals here. So I could assign, hey, here's my team here. I can give my whole team access to doing that. Um, if you don't want to have that much, um, if you don't want to let that um, be widely available, that functionality, people can just use the group but not be able to edit it. Um, that's called viewer access. Basically, when they go to Email Plus and they can create a new email, they will be able to, if you share it with them as a viewer, they can choose to email to that group also. They're called viewers. And this first type of access is um, system contacts. So you see the emails I've received saying this has been processed, or you'll receive an email after this has been processed. That is a system email, and you get to decide. Um, Here's a system email. Who receives these? So there may be just someone who receives these, and if that's all they do, you can add them as a system contact. Okay, so I've shown you how to add an email distribution group. You saw how there are 3 different ways to add users as single users, multiple, or using a spreadsheet. Um, we covered adding data in that spreadsheet and using it in Email Plus to kind of craft a basic scenario where you're mail merge. And we looked at how to edit the subscribe form to collect data and how to affect the unsubscribe form as well to add some messaging. And so that's all I have for the group manager. And at this time, I'll take some questions and um, I can help you show you how to do some things that you'd like to know how to do or otherwise. Um, Directly, you're welcome to contact me by email or phone, but I will stay after here and address questions as long as is needed. So um, thanks for joining the demo, and I hope to see you again.